All right. Welcome aboard, everybody. This is episode one, interview one of A Fresh Breath of Nick and John. My name's Nick.
My name is John.
And today we're going to be joined by Terrance Pittman. He is the creator, designer, host of a podcast called Brainshack. Terrance talks about controversial topics in the world today, has a lot of interesting point of views. You might want to check him out. We'll leave his link in the description of this video, of this podcast, wherever you're watching or listening. And yeah, definitely check him out after you're done here. We appreciate it. Also, he's got some really cool merch that he designs himself. Good. We have a question for you. I'm sorry, John, I just cut you off, but before, I don't want to forget. Have you watched Netflix?
Do I watch Netflix? Yeah.
You seen Space Force yet? Steve Carell just came out.
I seen it up there, but I can't take him serious. So it just seems like it wouldn't be a serious show. So I just haven't looked at it yet.
So
It's not to be taken serious at all.
yeah, it's.
Yeah.
I got a buddy.
Yeah.
I got a buddy who's what is he? He's Marines on the island. He watched it. He said it was really good humor because it's all military humor. And you're Air Force, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he said it was pretty funny. But tell us, is Space Force real? Like, are they actually making it?
It's not a thing that's being made. It's already real. It's the fifth branch.
It's actually active. I've done
It's
no
active.
research.
Yeah, it's active. They have their own commander and everything like that. Yeah, it's real. Now, is it set up like it's not established like it has all these people in it like the other branches or whatever, because it's just getting started, but it's real. And they just picked like a chief and a senior enlisted like a person or whatever. They just nominated a guy. Well, not even nominated, but they picked him. So yeah, it's real. It's a real thing.
Do they have recruiters for the Space Force?
I don't know if they've gotten that far yet, but right now what they're doing is they're taking people that are already in the military and they're pulling them over. So like the senior enlisted leader that they picked, he's a Marine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I just lost my train of thought. What was I just gonna say? So like, are they meant to replace NASA, or is it going to be like completely separate operations?
No, NASA is a completely different thing, right? So NASA is more so like they do stuff like on an educational, like
research,
and to like enhance like our footprint across the world, and just like, you know what I mean, like just strengthen our hold as a nation or whatever. Like it's nothing like militaristic about NASA.
Okay, so it's more knowledge based.
Yeah.
Are they gonna go into the private sector? You know, like SpaceX?
I don't know about. I don't think they're gonna go into the private sector. I don't know anything about that. But yeah, I mean, as far as Space Force goes, period. Like we have We've always had a space command anyway. So we have a space command within the Air Force. Or whatever. So it deals with the satellites and everything like that, because that's how we win a lot of wars with our satellites and stuff like that, because we can control stuff, and like all of our like our weaponry and stuff like that is controlled by different satellites and stuff like that. You know,
it's wild.
Yeah.
So is that going to be? I mean, I'm sure that's confidential, but is that going to be like the main purpose of Space Force is just to be like screwing with other countries' satellites and protecting ours and making sure we have the best information flowing?
So they would never put it out there to say like, hey, that's one of our things, that's what we're gonna do. They would never put that out there. I'm not saying that doesn't happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they would never just say, hey, that's what we're doing or whatever. But no, the intention behind it is basically, I don't know, it seems silly to me, but. But yeah, I mean, I guess the intention behind it is just like, hey, we have every other thing. We got air, ground, water, all that stuff conquered. So it's just like, okay, so we're going to fight through space, because future wars will be fought more through space or something like that, So, I mean, I guess I get the concept, but you really didn't have to create another branch for it, because like I said, we already have that in the Air Force. So that was just, to me, that was just like, it's like in the military, you have officers, right? You have officers, you have enlisted, and the officers always operate on a different scale than enlisted, because enlisted always usually has the test for their rank. But officers, they have to do certain things, like like whether it's go to different schools, and they have to command different units and have certain degrees and stuff like that. And that's how they get recognized and get promoted and stuff like that. So with all these officers, everywhere they go, they always have this little pet project, this really big pet project or whatever, so that they can put it on their performance review and say, hey, this is something that I started and it improved wherever I was at, this, that, and the other. So that's all it seems like. That's something that President Trump wanted for his presidency. He can say, hey, this is my big pet project. I created a fifth branch of the United States, military.
Right.
And so it'll always be tied to him.
Soon they'll have him on the $1,000 bill.
Yeah.
All right, but okay, so I got one more question. I got a lot of space questions. But all right, everyone, focus in on this man's face real quick, because he said Air Force used to look after a lot of the space operations. Where are the aliens?
Where are the aliens?
Where are they?
I would say they're amongst us. We wouldn't know.
Did you see the video released by, what was it, the Navy?
Yeah, of the
What video?
The unidentified something like aerial object or whatever, like they try to call it or whatever. So that stuff is real, man. And like, it's just a lot of stuff happens where you don't want to acknowledge it. Like, military in general won't acknowledge a lot of stuff because the average person can't wrap their head around it, and it'll throw a lot of people into a frenzy. Yeah. Right. Damn. And so they just won't acknowledge it. They'll ignore it, this, that, and the other and stuff. But it's a lot of stuff that happens in general, period, or whatever, that people don't believe, but it's been declassified, and it's literally out there. It's open source information that you could just, if you just look for it, you could find it and you can see it. You can see it's real and everything like that. But a lot of people, they live in their little bubble, and they don't know. And it's like, that could never happen. But you got to be crazy to think that we're the only living, like, we're here on Earth, and that's it. Like, there's nothing else out there or whatever. But do you really want to know to the extent?
Yeah, I mean, see, I call bullshit on like Hollywood, because every other goddamn alien movie that comes out is like, aliens roll up and they want us dead. And I think that's the stupidest assumption to make. Because wouldn't they just want to be like, what are you people all about? Like, why wouldn't they be just as interested in meeting us as we meeting them?
I think with aliens, and this is my theory, I think that aliens are operating on a different dimension, like a higher level of enlightenment. Damn. Or whatever. And so, like, they can be amongst us all the time, every day or whatever, and they can see what we're doing, maybe, but we can't. For the typical person, you can't see what they're doing. And obviously nothing's perfect. So you see little stuff like that, that air phenomena that happened or whatever. But, I believe in it. Absolutely. And it's not even I believe it, I know it's real. So.
Have you seen anything?
I'm sorry?
Have you seen anything?
Have I seen anything? I mean, no, I haven't seen anything outside of the normal person. Like, you see this video, this, that, and the other. I'm not naive enough to think that we're the only ones here.
I feel that. I agree with that.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this today, because I was at the Kualoa Ranch in Oahu. That's where they filmed the Jurassic Park films and all that shit. And then we got us talking about space. I know this is a question. I've seen this question on YouTube. If you move far enough away from the planet, say you move 65 million light years away from the planet, and the aliens look back at us with a big enough telescope, could they see dinosaurs?
Yeah.
Right?
I don't know. Yeah. Maybe. I don't know.
That's wild. I was thinking about that today. I was running across that field at the what's that man's name? I can't remember the guy's name. I know his character name was like Dr. Grant, but in the very first movie, he's getting chased by those things with like the long hook neck thing.
You talking about Jurassic Park?
Yeah.
I don't remember Jurassic Park like that. Really? Like,
that's a great movie.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. So you know what? Back to the topic at hand. Tell us about yourself, Terrance. Tell the viewers, who are you? How do we come across you? What do you do?
So I am obviously my name's Terrance. I'm in the military. I'm in the Air Force. I've been living in Oahu for about 4 years. I love it. I didn't initially want to come here. It was not my choice to come here.
Right.
But yeah, I came here after living in Korea for about a year. So it's been pretty good, man. I like to be like really creative, have debates, paint, draw, do graphic design stuff, like just all kinds of stuff, man. Like I don't know, I just like to be creative. Period. Something that always keeps my mind going.
We were talking about your podcast earlier. Everyone listening, go check out Terrance's merch. Brainshack, look it up. He's got good merch. No worries. Tell us, we wanted to know, worst place you were ever sent for the military. One place you were just like, damn, it sucked my time there. Whether it's the place, your experience there, like what just really sucked about it.
I really haven't had.
Really?
I really haven't had any bad places that I've been sent. Because I've always tried to look at something different, right? So I would say, maybe if I would say the least desirable, like as
Sure.
in stationed, I guess Louisiana, but I didn't have a problem with Louisiana. Like everybody from when I was stationed in Louisiana hated it, but I loved it because to me it was a central location. I could get up and just go anywhere, because I like to drive, go on road trips and everything like that. I mean, I would say the worst place was Iraq because I could have got killed there.
Damn.
But I had fun in Iraq, so it was fun.
It's funny. That's not something you typically ever hear, about people's time in Iraq.
It was fun. I mean, I'm Air Force, so like, I wasn't shooting out there, shooting people and stuff like say the Army was. I'm Air Force, and we control aircraft. So anybody that like deals with aircraft, like we were controlling aircraft and stuff like that, they have to protect us. So we're on the air base and like a heavily fortified air base. Now we still could have got killed, obviously, because they're shooting mortars and stuff, and they knew they knew our schedule changed times. So every time you have like a shift change and stuff, you walk into work and then they're shooting rockets on the base. So you have to it's like an intercom that comes on, and it'll be like, like woo, woo, woo. And like if it's near you, it'll be a voice that comes up and it'll say incoming, incoming, incoming. And so then you definitely got to get down on the ground. And because the best place is to get down on the ground, because when those mortars hit, the shrapnel, all that stuff, it hits the ground and then all the shrapnel goes like this. Jeez. So if you're standing up, so the best place is just be on the ground. We have a bunch of concrete bunkers and stuff everywhere to go into as well. And so initially, like when you first get there, I was scared as shit. The first day I got there, but then it happened so much. By the next day, I was so used to it, and then you kind of just accept death. Like, hey, if it happens, then it happens. There's nothing I can do. It's nothing that I can control. Like I can only do so much, right? Once I get down on the ground, and that's what I have to do. If a rocket so happens to hit me in that spot, it was just my time.
Yeah. Damn.
So you just accept it.
Call of Duty don't go by those physics though.
Not at all. Not at all.
I was just in Israel over the winter. I went on Birthright. I don't know if you're familiar. Birthright, they send Jewish kids to Israel for free, is the easiest way to put it. I'm in this group, and they tell you, they're like, when you're in some of the cities, you're in Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, not so much. It's not really in that bad of an area. They're just like, you might hear some sirens, like the Palestinians, West Bank, all the nonsense going on. People are just like, not even like a full-on attack. Sometimes people will just fucking fire rockets just to across the lines because all the borders, are there. It's nuts. All of a sudden you hear a siren, you jump down to the ground and just fucking pray. And you're just like, apparently every new building, viewers don't fact check me on this, but like every new building built in Israel must be built with a bomb shelter in it, just because it happens so frequently. So every modern building has some type of like confined safe zone.
Yeah.
Nuts. That's terrifying.
Yeah, but man,
I'm from upstate New York. I have never seen a bunker before.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's amazing what you just wind up accepting, like once you get used to it,
Yeah.
you know? It's just like when I was in the mainland, you know, all this craziness is going on, you know, with the exception of COVID, right?
Yeah.
And I never thought anything about it. But now when I go to the mainland like I did last week, you know, it's crazy how now I don't notice, like I've noticed how safe it is over here, but I noticed more when I went home because I'm like, now I'm thinking about stuff that I don't ever think about when I'm in Hawaii.
Yeah.
You know?
So you saying it's safer here or it's safer there?
Oh yeah, it's way safer here. Way safer here
In
than
what
the
regard?
mainland. In the mainland, like perfect example, like I'll go running, you know, I might go running at 2-3 o'clock in the morning. I don't think anything about that here or whatever. But like you can't do that everywhere there. You know, especially like, you know, say Atlanta, I flew into Atlanta. Atlanta, you don't want to be out in the dark, you know, late at night and stuff. Like you will get robbed.
Damn.
Maybe killed. Like, you know, like you have to think about stuff like that. I had to think about race because I went to Alabama to my grandma's funeral. So we're in the middle of the country and, you know, and it's all this tension going on and stuff like that. So I'm like, oh, okay, I have to think about that. I don't have to think about that here.
Wow.
You know?
That's a good point you brought up. And John was trying to help me find a better way to word this question. But I guess you kind of just answered it. I mean, being a black man, mainland, Virginia or West Virginia? Or
Virginia.
Thank you. Versus here. I mean, you said you just feel safer here, like people just more.
I am safer here.
You are safer here.
I am safer here, and I'm safer in every other country that I've ever been to, in regards to the color of my skin. Whether it's I was in Korea, or Japan, or Iraq, Dubai, you know, wherever. Especially in the Middle East. Like in the Middle East, it's just like we are loved. Like it's just like brother. Like I felt at home.
Wow.
You know, I felt really at home there. And then here in Hawaii, no issues. I don't have any issue. But when you go back home, you know, it's just a different playing field and stuff, man. It's a different way you have to approach stuff, you know? Like when I was growing up and I was getting ready to start driving, my dad gave me this talk. And every like black kid gets this talk. Like when you're about to start driving or something like that, or just being out there in the world and stuff, like, hey man, if you get stopped, pulled over by the cops, whatever, hey, my dad told me specifically, he said, you get stopped, pulled over, whatever, you put your hands on the steering wheel or dash, whatever, you have them up there and you don't move them. And when he asks you for your license or registration, you tell him where it's at and you ask him, is it okay? Don't make any sudden movements or anything. He always told me, if the cop is an asshole, he's dead wrong, whatever the case may be, just comply. He's like, just comply, period, because your job is to get back home. If he's being, you know, doing something he's not supposed to do, we can deal with it afterwards. But that's not the time to deal with it because they will kill your ass. And that's what my dad told me. And that's what all my friends that look like me, their parents told them the same thing. And I've literally asked, and I have tons of white friends, and I've asked so many of them the same thing. They're like, no, I'm never got to talk like that. Like, never. You don't have to think about stuff like that.
Damn.
You know?
My dad didn't even give me the sex talk. Not to make light of it, but like, that's fucking, it gives me chills just fucking thinking about it.
Never even heard of that.
Huh?
I've never even heard of that.
No.
Man.
I mean, people like us don't have to, like you said, we don't have to think about it. It's shitty. Now, here's something. You said mainland home, you know, you get the worst. You kind of have to be on guard the most. Do you ever like, what's the best, I'm trying to word this question. When people find out like, oh, you're military, does that ever like help them switch gears, or is it just they're stuck in their way?
No, so I'll tell you this, and that's not, it's still not good, right? So I got a couple instances, but one specific instance, right, that I have, like, so I'm really into cars, and I customize them and this, that, and the other, right? So I always customize all my cars and everything. So this is when I was stationed in Louisiana.
Okay.
Bossier City, Louisiana. So I had a Chevy Silverado. It was a big black truck, 4-door, and I had it. It was on 26s, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm driving. Cop turns on his lights for me to pull over. So I'm like, what is he pulling me over for? Okay, whatever. So I pull over, and then next thing I hear is, driver, get out of the car. Or get out of the vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, what in the? I was like, who does he think I am? Like, you know? And so I'm like, oh shit. So I open the door, put my hands up and stuff. And then he's like, what are you so nervous for? And I'm like, dude, I don't know why you told me to get out of the vehicle. Like, I don't know why I'm being stopped. I don't know why you tell me to get out of the vehicle. I'm just trying to be safe. And he was like, I tell everybody to get out of the vehicle. I don't walk up on vehicles. I tell everybody to get out of the vehicle. So I'm thinking in my head, like, oh, okay, if I was some white chick, you wouldn't tell me to get out of the vehicle. If I was some old white chick, you wouldn't tell me to get out of the vehicle. But whatever, okay, I'll play the game. Mm-hmm. So he says this, right? So then he's like, where are you coming from? You know, the typical, this, that. I'm coming from here. You live down here, asking me all these stupid questions. So doesn't tell me why he pulled me over. But then he says, okay, license and registration. I said, hey, my license and my registration is in my center console. Is it okay if I get it? So he's irritated with me at this point because I'm being so careful. And he's like, yeah, just go get it. And I was like, all right. So I'm going over to my truck and I was like, it's in my center console. I'm just making sure you know. And he was like, dude, just get it. So I get it. And when I open my wallet, my military ID is always on the top, mm-hmm. right? So up to this point, this dude's being a super asshole. Mm-hmm. He sees my military ID and he said, oh, you're in the military? You're in the Air Force? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, wait, you stationed at Barksdale up here? I was like, yeah. He's like, okay, what do you do? So, I tell him what I do and stuff. He's like, oh, man, that's great, man. How long have you been in, you're going to make it a career?
All of a sudden, he's your best friend.
Yes, best friend. But I'm like, dude, I have not acted any different from then and now. I didn't do anything out of the way or nothing. So then he finally tells me, he's like, yeah, man, I just put you over because you got a tail light out. Did you know your tail light was out? I was like, He was like, yeah. He's like, yeah, your tail light's out, man. Just get it fixed, man. He was like, yeah, but man, hey, man, I appreciate what you do. Thanks for serving, this, that, and the other. Dude was super nice. But I'm like, dude, why can't you be like that from the beginning? Why do I have to be in the military? Like, it's like, oh, okay, I can trust you now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just the color of my skin. I wasn't driving with my music loud, smoking weed or nothing like that. Mm-hmm. Like, I wasn't talking crazy or anything. Like, I was completely compliant, and yeah, if I didn't have my military ID, I'm not saying that I would have got killed or anything like that, but it was just like, you see how where the tension comes from. With me, I'm just one of those people where I'm just like, you're not going to win in this situation, Terrance. Right. So just remain calm. Where other people, they're tired of getting messed with and then they react. And then because they react to it because of this aggression, this, that, and the other, then people think they deserve to get whatever it was that they get. But they don't show that this cop was being super aggressive to them and just making them do unnecessary shit, So I don't make stuff like that up, man. There's a lot of people out here that anybody that has common sense, like we hate the people that make stuff up like that. Like, you know what I mean? Because they hurt the cause. When you have a person that won't take responsibility for their faults and everything like that, like it pisses me off because when real stuff happens to people don't want to believe you.
Right.
Part of it is like the age that we live in and everything is, videotaped. But I feel like a lot of it, you're not getting the full story. And then what happens is like you have to piece together all these videos you found to find the whole story. And then you have people that are just choosing one video and then their side. Yeah. And then seeing the other video on the other side and they choose that, but they're not putting them together and seeing the whole situation as a whole.
Exactly, right? It's like I tell people, if you're gonna watch the news, right? Don't just watch Fox. Don't just watch CNN. You need to watch both. Yeah. I'm not saying that either one are good news sources because they aren't, but they both have conflicting, agendas. So watch them both and then see, you know, pick out what it is that pick out the facts. It's not hard. People just feel more comfortable, you know, if this is my team and I have this stuff out here that's supporting my team, then that's all I'm going to acknowledge.
Yeah.
Right or wrong, you know?
So. Where do you think's the least biased place to get news? That's tough. I can't even think of an answer to that question.
No, I think you have to look at people. Like, you have people like that have YouTube channels and stuff like that where they have unbiased opinions, certain people. I don't think that you can necessarily go by news sources, because news sources are owned by people, and then I don't know anybody that owns it where they're not biased. And so that's how they run it. They want, however they believe, those are the stories that the stories that are picked are gonna support their narrative. And that's just how it is. I think you have to get a healthy dose of all of it. Because like I said.
Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, you're only hearing one story if you're only hearing one story.
Yeah.
So you're only hearing half the facts or part of the facts or whatever it may be. But
and people have to use common sense too, right?
Yeah.
Because just like, okay, let's say I don't like President Trump, right?
Sure.
And something comes out that he said something outrageous, right? I remember one day something came out and they said something about him saying people that commit suicide in the military are weak or whatever. That's what they said, right? And I was like, that sounds unbelievable, because he would not want to say something like that, especially against the military, because, you know, you want the military backing you, especially as the president. You know, you don't want to say that. So I was like, that does not sound right. Let me see, you know, if I can find the whole clip or something like that.
Right.
And I listened to it, and he didn't say anything like that. He said that, you know, military people that commit suicide are having a weak moment, and we have to stand behind them and give them all the support that they need. But they cut that out. You see what I'm saying? But if I don't like Trump, then I just roll with that and I post it everywhere, right?
Right.
I post that everywhere. And then the people that support Trump, they see that and they're like, well, he didn't even say that. You know, he didn't say it like that. You guys manipulated the video or whatever. So now it looks like this person is a liar, this, that, and the other. So then it basically makes that person feel like, oh, okay, well, what? I don't know, like, you know what I mean? Like, if you have to have an unbiased opinion for people to believe stuff that you say. Right. I've never believed anybody that only told one side of the story. You know what I mean? Because it's never just one side of the story. So
I feel like you find someone who's not like monetarily driven too, because a lot of these, you know, news stations are just driven by like, they're just trying to get people to watch their news and click online. So a lot of the stuff online, especially, is just people coming up with outrageous headlines.
To trigger people, right? They say crazy stuff to trigger people, and then this clicking, and then people start arguing and sharing links. Yeah.
What's that one guy's name? I think is it Tucker Carlson?
I hate that
who's
guy.
Always saying the most like ridiculous. But you have to think.
I hate him.
Without me giving any opinion of this man, like, he says some of the most like one-sided, outrageous stuff. You'd like, regardless of if you agree with what he says or not, it's so heavily one-sided and it's so like emotional, and like, you have to think that he's doing that just to get attention, right? For the show, the money run. Like, he might not even believe what he says. Like, he doesn't care if people hate him. He's getting paid so much money to just say these crazy things.
You have an audience. Yeah.
You have an audience.
You have an audience, right?
Yeah.
So if you've ever paid attention to Fox, right? I forgot this other guy's name. It's another guy up there, you know, and obviously Fox are Trump supporters, but it's this other guy up there where he was not behind everything Trump did. It was something that had to do with Vladimir Putin or whatever, where he called Trump out, right? And so when he called Trump out, now he always has Trump's back, but he was being, in that moment, he was like, this is BS, this, that, and the other. You know, you got to be a better president than that, rah, 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 right?
Right.
And the fans of Fox, like, ripped him a new one. They started sending him death threats, all kinds of crazy stuff. And it's like, this guy, literally 95% of the stuff they talk about, he agrees with President Trump. But that one time,
People freaked out.
yeah, and they were just like sending them death threats and everything. So you have to play. I don't think they believe any of that stuff. They play to an audience. It's just like, you know, all the people in Congress and stuff like that. They all think he's crazy. They all think he's nuts. And I just want to put it out there. I'm not saying President Trump is crazy. I'm not saying he's nuts. I'm saying they're saying it, right?
Damn.
But they have to play this game, or that's what they've decided to do, is play a game, because whatever way that supports their life in the best way. Like Tucker Carlson, he knows what his audience is. So he knows he has to have, you know, President Trump's back 100%. And plus, he's personally had President Trump on the show, interviewing him a couple of times. So it's just like, I don't even remember that really happening during other presidencies where news organizations were getting constant personal interviews, with the actual president.
Here's something we wanted your opinion on. The Jenna Marbles thing. Do you watch YouTube? Terrance, are you familiar with Jenna Marbles?
Never heard of that.
All right, what does she do? John, you explain. Explain who she is.
She's been on the platform for like 10 years, roughly, maybe
Huge following. She's
got like 25 million subscribers. So like she's like a staple of YouTube. When it first started, she was posting videos, and they were always like, funny short skit videos. And then she does like more makeup stuff now, and she has her dogs. But like, I'll give an example of how, like, how Kevin Hart, when he was going to host the Oscars, there was a joke that he had in one of his sets like fucking 8 years ago.
Oh, is that the chick that's getting canceled right now?
Yeah.
Or whatever, she's gonna leave YouTube?
Yes.
Yeah. So one of her videos, she like was dressing up as Nicki Minaj, just to like some parody video that she was doing. And that was 9 years ago, and it was privated, a year or two after. So it's been private for years.
But it's resurfaced now, yeah?
Yeah, people brought it up now. And then there was another video about, she used to do like it was kind of like gender stereotyping, but she would just be like, women do this and men do this, and it would be a whole different, kind of thing. And then the LGBTQ community took that and ran with that. And she's just getting all this hate from everyone. And, granted, I don't think it's warranted. If you watch this woman's video, she's the sweetest woman ever.
So how do you feel someone does something that today, well, forever, but now it's very out in the open that things like that is very not okay. It's overtly racist. It insults a lot of people, but it happened 9 years ago. What's your stance on the cancel culture where, like, this woman who's, I guess, done nothing wrong since then, now it's resurfaced? Like, do you think that's what she deserves? Do you think there's like a statute of limitations on that? What are your thoughts?
Talking to me?
Yeah.
I think that everybody needs to use some kind of level of discernment, man. Like, I think that when people are being like evil, right? When they have when they're trying to hurt people about what they're doing and stuff. So I think with this whole thing that we're doing now, you have to be careful about creating more enemies, because you have people on your side, and then now you go back. Everybody's got skeletons in their closet. I've said stuff, we've all said stuff that we would not want to come out in public, and I just think I think on a case-by-case basis and stuff, when you look at people, it's just like, even if she was on a video or whatever, years ago, and she was just like, N-word this and N-word that, I would just look at her body of work since then, like how she was as a person. And then when it came out, if she apologized and accepted responsibility for it, this, that, and the other, because, like, perfect example, I didn't used to like when homosexuals got integrated into the military, or they were already there, but the don't ask, don't tell policy was, was thrown out or whatever. I was one of those people where I was just like, why? Like, they shouldn't be in the military. What do they need to be in the military for? And, it's just because of how the times were at that time, and it was just deemed unacceptable and stuff. And I had to get knowledge about it and talk to other people and stuff.
Educate yourself.
To see how ignorant I was being. Like, dude, like, who cares? Like, who cares what they do in their bedroom, this, that, and the other and stuff? Right. They're just like you and me. Like, if you come to work and do the job, that's all I care about.
As long as you're not hurting nobody, who cares?
Exactly. And I was worried about, like, really dumb, ignorant stuff. Like, people think because a guy is gay that he wants them. And it's just like, okay, women like men. Do they like every man? Same thing with gay guys. They don't like every man they come across. Oh, it's a man, let me get him. Like, that's something that I had to learn, and I wouldn't want somebody to come back and be like, oh, he was incredibly ignorant at this time. He doesn't like gay people. And I'm like, at that time, it wasn't even I didn't like gay people. I just didn't understand them. And I'm older, and life is a learning process, right? So.
Yeah. So if you're actively bettering yourself and you, I guess, are remorseful for the wrong thing you did, I guess.
It depends on what it is that you did. But I mean, you said 9 years ago, I think people could say some really bad stuff, 9 years ago and change. Right. It's different if you murdered somebody, if you raped somebody, that's irreversible. But I could have said some really ignorant stuff 9 years ago, and then it came up, and I'm like, yo, I'm not that type of person anymore. Like, I'm incredibly sorry for ever saying or even thinking like that. But anybody that knows me knows I'm not that person.
Right.
So.
Well, like, you got to think, have you ever seen Ray William Johnson when he used to be there? He's not on YouTube anymore. But he ran this show for like 4 or 5 years and then eventually passed it on to someone. But if he was still on the internet today and they looked back at his videos, he would be dead right now. And it wasn't even like the shit he was saying was that bad. I feel like people would just be taking it out of context. And they were just strictly jokes. It was a comedy show that he did.
I hate when people mess with comedians because I think that's the safe haven. Like, when people are just being evil. But like, I've heard racist jokes about black people and stuff and from comedians, and I've laughed my ass off. You can't be that uptight about it and stuff. Some stuff is just funny or whatever. You know the difference. And when somebody is just being an asshole versus, hey, they're being a comedian, they're like, hey, and then, right. You ever thought about this? And it's like, right. We've all thought about it, and it's funny. Don't mess with the comedians.
It's actually funny, because I know we talked about Joe Rogan when we first met. Joe Rogan, one of the biggest podcasts in the world right now. But like, if you listen, he's a stand-up comedian too, obviously. But if you listen to some of his first episodes, the shit he talks about is like, it's pretty risque for like today's standards. Like they joke about homosexuals, the LGBTQ community. He uses the word retard a lot, which is kind of not too acceptable anymore. So and I don't really ever recall him getting like a lot of flack for that, Like, no one ever attacked Joe Rogan because he used the word retard on his podcast, his first episode. But I'm trying to think of like, who's a good,
like how they portray themselves.
I mean, it's gotta be like, Daniel Tosh. You guys remember Daniel Tosh?
I love Tosh.
I fucking loved it. He was here.
He is super offensive.
He
but
is.
It's funny. It's funny. It's so funny.
He was here. He was on the island. When the hell did I go? Back in February or January. He was here. Went to a show. He was great. But like, he's super, super offensive, super cocky. But like, years ago, he like made rape jokes that really pissed some people off, and it like dragged on for a while. Do you remember this? it was a whole to-do. I think it was like a big black mark on his career, but people freaked out. And I think, like John said, it's got to be how you present it. I mean, he comes off as an asshole because that's like his shtick. But like you said, Terrance, I mean, that's the art, you know. It should be a safe haven for what people want to talk about. To attack comedians just seems crazy.
I mean, they get it for their own stuff anyways. They got sex scandals out the ass.
Who is this?
Yeah, man.
Comedians?
Yeah.
Yeah. Rip Louie.
Yeah, one of my favorite comedians right now, Chris D'Elia.
I know,
his last name.
He got long hair and kind of like a bigger nose. Is that guy?
Yeah. He's got some stuff going on right now. Not legally, but it's been like a lot of chicks. They're grown now, but they were saying like when they were underage and that he was like, you know, he slept with a few of them and he was trying to sleep with a lot of them. They showed the messages and everything.
Eesh.
And, you know, he plays a pedophile on season 2 of this show called You on Netflix. And they were like, hey, the reason why he plays it so well is because he's a pedophile in real life. And the messed up thing is, because of his jokes and how he is and stuff, like when they said he is a pedophile, I was like, I could see that.
He did that shit. He did that shit.
Yeah. I was like, I could definitely see that, man. But
shit.
Another one of my favorite comedians, that nobody touches him and he is super outlandish, is Bill Burr.
Bill Burr.
I was just thinking that.
Bill Burr, he does not care. He just says it.
It's so funny you say that. He was the person in like one of Joe Rogan's like first episodes, and they were saying some outlandish shit.
Yeah.
And no one ever says shit to him. It's crazy.
I don't know why.
He's not big enough yet.
I don't know, man. Man, I think that, you know, when you're trying to get recognition for stuff, you have to be careful about creating enemies that were never there in the first place, because you have people there that were supporting you, and then, you know, you went out, like, perfect example, LGBT community, right? They, I don't understand the whole, like, they're against intolerance, right?
Okay.
Or whatever, right? So let's say Chick-fil-A. Everybody's familiar with Chick-fil-A, right?
Yep. Yes, sir.
So Chick-fil-A, we all know it's a Christian run like company.
Yeah.
They're closed on Sunday. You know that. Everybody knows this, right? And I don't think the founder ever even said anything like against them, like, hey, they're abominations or anything like that. They just said, you know, everybody knows, like, if you have actual like Christian values and stuff, then it's supposed to be like this certain way, right? Especially, you know, like in the South, right? It's supposed to be a certain way. So he's just saying he doesn't agree with that type of lifestyle, this, that, and the other. And then they get all, you know, like torn up about it and stuff like that and tell people to stop buying Chick-fil-A. Like, why would I stop buying Chick-fil-A, man? Like, perfect example is, I don't have a problem with somebody that says, I don't believe in interracial relationships, marriage, or anything like that. But it's about how you say it. We have our own opinions. We can think whatever we want. And I can be friends with that person and everything. You don't have to believe in interracial marriage and stuff. But what you can't do is sit there and throw all this vitriol at the people that are in interracial relationships. You can't sit there and treat them bad and talk shit and say like they're terrible people and stuff like that. You can say, hey, it's not for me. Right. I don't really believe in it. You know, so if somebody says, hey, I don't really believe in the whole homosexuality thing. I think, you know, it should be man and woman, but hey, that's me. You should be allowed to say that or feel that way. And these people shouldn't get their panties in a bunch or whatever and stuff. No pun intended. But you know what I mean? Like, just like get over yourself, man. And that's why a lot of times people hate you. Not because of what you're doing in the sense of, hey, I'm gay. It's like you're getting your feelings hurt over everything. Like nobody can say anything out of the way to you. Like if you're gay and I joke on you, now you think I'm joking on you because you're gay. But I joke on everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
It's that what's it called? It's the professional victims culture.
Yeah.
You ever hear
Yeah.
that term?
Yeah.
Everyone's got to be a victim, even though, like, I don't know, some of us are just assholes. We're not victims, you know?
Yeah. 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 It's crazy. It's like, I forgot the comedian that said it was fun. Oh, I think it was Tracy.
Tracy Morgan?
Yeah, he said something because the gay community, I think, got on him, and he was like, "Man," he said, "I thought I was cool if they could take a dick. I thought they could take a joke." So, and they like ripped him apart for it, but it didn't really affect him that much because he appeals in a certain area. So
You ever think it gets like blown out of proportion, like when it happens to famous people? Like, do you know what happened with Papa John?
with who?
Papa John, like the pizza guy?
I remember what happened with him. And wait, I'm trying to remember what exactly happened with him.
So I mean,
Because I was on board.
he basically got ousted from his company for an allegation that he said the N-word on a conference call.
They
It
didn't have
wasn't
it recorded?
no, it wasn't an allegation. He did say it. I heard it.
Oh.
It's on the tape.
Yeah, I heard it.
In what context was it used?
I don't remember. The only thing I remember about it is that I was very pissed off about it. Like, not pissed off. I don't let it bother me like that, but I was just like, I remember when I heard it, I was like, his ass needs to be out of there.
Yeah.
So
Damn.
I and it was other stuff that came along with it that he did or didn't do, where it was just like, a lot of times you make mistakes, but it's your actions outside of those mistakes that can help or hurt you.
Right.
Yeah.
You feel me? So I think when I was looking at it at the time, and I don't want to quote anything because I can't remember, because it was like 3 or 4 years ago maybe, or whatever. You got to understand it too. In the corporate world, they start losing money, you're gonna get the axe real quick, and that's what happens when you go public. When you go public with your company, it's not really your company anymore. You're just the face. They can get you out of there.
When something like that happens, do you personally, Terrance, and you and John, you can answer this question too. Does it affect what you consume? Do you eat, will you not eat Papa John's pizza now?
I eat it. I eat it now. I never really ate it like that in the first place. But
I guess
what happened
in general, with things like that.
They changed though, right? But it made Shaq the face of Papa John's and stuff, and they changed. So then it was like, all right, well, y'all are doing something about it, so that's cool. But just perfect example, I love Taco Bell, right?
Sure. Yeah.
I freaking love Taco Bell, but I have not went into the whole step, so I haven't ever said anything about it. But I know just in passing, reading through stuff, or something happened where this guy wore a shirt there or whatever and stuff that was supporting the whole protest or something like that. Mm-hmm. And something happened with it or whatever, and people were saying, hey man, okay, Taco Bell is canceled or whatever. But I haven't looked into it to see exactly what it was. But just because I don't know what it is or anything like that, I haven't eaten there since or whatever, since I heard about it. But I also haven't told other people not to eat there, because I haven't went and done the research myself to see what's going on. But I don't want to support something where it goes against my values.
So you'll hold off until you see some change?
Oh yeah. I mean, because you got to be able to forgive people. You know what I mean? Everybody is worthy of forgiveness, man, because if you try to say people aren't worthy of forgiveness, then you're talking about yourself. You're a reflection. That's how I feel. I can't sit there and not forgive somebody that's trying to make a right, trying to make a wrong or right or whatever, you know what I mean? But I want people to forgive me for some missteps that I may have along the way. I'm not perfect,
Damn.
So as long as I can see that you're making an actual conscious effort to do something, then cool. But it's the people that they're full of crap. They get caught and they oh yeah, I apologize, this, that, and the other. And it's just you're not really sorry, because none of your actions, nothing that you do or whatever, to me speaks to that you're sorry. You're sorry you got caught.
Right.
And that's it. And I'm really, really good. My brain, the way my brain works, it's a gift and a curse. I overanalyze everything. So I know I can tell when a person is being genuine or not.
Sure.
You know.
Feel about it from the companies that do that. Like when the company fucks up and then they have to make like a public apology or something, and they make all these changes. Are those like genuine changes for you?
It's a good question.
A genuine change to me is not like, I forgot what company just did this, but they ran some super racist ad. I don't know what it was, but they ran some super racist ad, and then they put it out, and then people were like, "Oh my God," you know, and then they were like, you know, and they pulled the ad immediately, and they were like, "Sorry, that does not speak for our company, this, that, and." But I'm like, you approved it, you put it out there, you just apologized now because people reacted in, you know, in a way that you didn't like, and that's all you did. So like, F you, like, you know, like that's not real. You knew what you were doing in the first place.
I wonder, like, I mean, these companies must have someone working for them that like represents whatever minority group they probably end up offending. So do they really just like, I'm sure this will be good enough, and they just send it on their way and hope for the best? You know what I'm saying? Like, how do they not proof these things?
I don't know.
Focus groups?
You would think. You would think there'd be focus groups.
You would think so too, especially with as big as a company as it is. You know, if I had this huge company, you know, then you had the money. You need to hire people and stuff that can give you some insight into, you know, every community.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it's worth the money, because it's worth the money spending in the front end of it than having to do damage control in the back
Deal
end,
with
right?
it later, yep.
Right? And then you got this permanent stain on your company or whatever,
right.
You know? But just like, I think some stuff is going too far. Like, for example, like, I know, like, the whole, like, say, Aunt Jemima, that whole thing, right?
Yeah.
I just feel like that means nothing to me, because it's just like, you already, if it was racist, you had how long to know that it was racist? So now all of a sudden we have this movement, and you're like, okay, so we stand in solidarity with the Black community. We will be removing Aunt Jemima. Like, no, like, and other people have to like, if it didn't bother you, and I've never heard anybody really making a fuss about the whole Aunt Jemima thing. It's like a staple, whatever, man. Like, that doesn't mean anything to me. You know what I'm saying? That to me, that just like, I don't know, it's like a way to like pacify you or whatever and stuff like that. That's like not real change or whatever. Like, I just look at Aunt Jemima as syrup. Like,
I was gonna say, do you eat Aunt Jemima?
Yeah, I just look at it, that shit as syrup, man. Like, it's like whatever. Like, and the thing is, it's like, in the Black community and stuff, a lot of times we'll say like, hey, we're not represented, you know, nobody wants to like use this for something or the face of something, this, that, and the other. And excuse me if I don't know all the history behind Aunt Jemima and stuff like that, because what they were saying is like, you know, especially if you've seen the original Aunt Jemima, she just, you know, she looked like a slave. She looked like Harriet Tubman, you know, and they were saying like, hey, you're portraying Black people to all look like this, so change her up. So then that's when they had the new one where she had like curl hair and like pearls in her ear and stuff like that. And I'm just like, you know, I mean, she's the face of this syrup. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's got, you know, like, I don't know, like, it doesn't bother me. If anything, I looked at it like, okay, they used her to, you know, to brand this syrup, or what if she's the face of it and stuff, that was kind of like putting us out there or whatever, instead of being afraid. You know, maybe it's a lot of things in time where Black people have created something and then they put a white face in front of it.
Right.
So they put a Black face in front of it this time, and that's how she looked.
Do you think people like they must actively look for things to be pissed off about, right? Because like,
obviously, yeah.
If you had asked me 2 months ago what an Aunt Jemima syrup bottle looked like, I couldn't tell you. But like, I don't know, well, like, was I just ignoring it because I'm white and I didn't notice? Or like, I never would have been able to tell you that there was a slightly racist photo on it. I probably wouldn't have been able to tell you there was a face on it.
But that's the thing. You got to look it up or whatever. Like, if you look at Aunt Jemima now, the picture of her now, it's just like some Black lady, like your grandma or something like that. That's up there. And it's like, okay, cool. That old picture of her, you know, like I said, if they still had that, you know, it's still in my, I don't know. I just look at things a lot different. I look at stuff that matters, and I try to think outside the box, like for stuff like, you remember when Kanye said slavery was a choice?
Yeah.
And then everybody got super upset about it, and they were like, what the fuck is that? But you have to look at people and try to understand where they're coming from. When the first thing I thought about it is like, Kanye did not say this like with a mindset of like F everybody. Like he knew the reaction that he would get if he meant it the way that people are taking it. The way I took it was slavery was a choice. People think that stuff isn't a choice because you don't like the consequence, right? Okay, if I'm a slave, right, and I decide to stay because, hey, I don't want to get whooped, this, that, and the other, that's a choice. Now, if I decide I'm going to leave, I'm going to run away or whatever, the consequences, I may be beat, I may be killed. My family might be sold away if I have any of that left, or I could get away and run to freedom. But you have a choice. You just don't like the potential consequence. So just because you don't like the consequence does not mean you don't have a choice. And if everybody thought the way that most people were thinking, like, no, we don't have a choice, then we'd probably still be slaves. Well, we wouldn't be slaves because we got released for a whole different reason other than that. But you know what I'm saying? Like, if most people thought like that, then they would just stay a slave. It's because you think you don't have a choice. You always have a choice.
Yeah. Daniel Tosh, circle back around to comedians. He has a skit, one of his stand-ups, where he was talking about slavery for whatever reason. I think he was like listing all the reasons why black people are better than white people. And he goes,
I know where you're going, yeah.
They're better than us at everything. When it came to slavery, they could have just ran away, right? And we would never catch them.
So he was saying the fact that they actually enslaved us for so long was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
But it's to me, that was funny.
Right.
Because he didn't mean it. He did not mean it in like I'm superior than you, than this, that, and like some people like, okay, you have people out here like, if you guys are so smart, you're faster, this, that, and the other, then we're more intelligent than you guys anyway, because you could have just ran away and your dumb ass to stay. That's somebody saying, that's somebody being like, okay, being evil about it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like they don't like black people, whatever the case may be. But that was just a joke, and you just have to, you can't be upset about everything in life, man. You're going to be continuing to vibrate at a super low level, and you're going to keep attracting all that same BS over and over. You're right.
Damn. That's fucked up. Speaking of Taco Bell, if you guys had the opportunity, like one legal shot, would you ever eat a human? Nah, you wouldn't try it?
Nah. I've read about it.
Where have you read about it?
I've read about it. So this guy, he got in like this accident or whatever, and his foot, he had to get his foot cut off, right?
Okay.
And so he asked the doctors, he was like, hey, they put in this medical bag or whatever and stuff and like throw it away. And he said, hey, I want my foot. And they were like, you want your foot? He said, yeah, it's my foot. I want my foot.
Yeah, that's true.
They were like, all right, cool. So he had talked to his friend. His friend is a chef. And they had like 4 or 5 friends. And he was like, hey, would you be, my cut foot is getting cut off. Would you be interested in like serving it? Like, I would want you to make it or whatever. Could you make it, taste good? We'll eat my foot. And so he had crazy enough friends to be like, yeah, let's do it.
I'm gonna be real. I've known John for a long ass time. If my boy came, John's a part-time chef himself. He likes to cook. If he came up to me and was like, "Oh, let's eat this foot," I'd let him do it. But could you imagine that episode of Hell's Kitchen? Gordon Ramsay would be like, "Let me show you 17 ways to fillet these fucking feet."
Yeah, and they made it, man. I seen the pictures. He made tacos out of it.
That's the way I'd probably do it.
Yeah, he made tacos, and it looked like, if you didn't know it was a foot, it looked, well, I don't know, the meat looked kind of off.
Like, a little off?
He stripped, it was like strips. Yeah, like carne asada, right?
Like, how do you fucking know? You know, like, I go to a restaurant, I order a steak. I mean, how do I know what you're serving me? There was a burger joint, used to exist where me and John are from, somewhere upstate New York. It used to serve like exotic burgers. Me and a couple friends went there one day. One of us ordered a kangaroo burger. One of us ordered cobra. No, I'm sorry, python. And the other person ordered camel. And we all got different burgers, and the meat kind of just like looked cut different way. But like, I had no way of proving this man just served me fucking camel. How would you know?
Yeah.
So, like, a couple of years ago, when we like first went to Ireland, I think a year or two before that, there was a huge scandal where they didn't have enough ground beef, so they started killing horses and serving that as cow, and they didn't tell anyone,
Is Taco Bell?
and no one knew. No, this was in Ireland.
Oh.
This is
Oh.
like a year or two before we went.
Damn.
Yeah, so we might have eaten some horse. We don't know.
I think that meat, like if you season it, you're not gonna know anyway, right? Because if you just eat meat as it is, just no seasoning, nothing, you just eat it as it is, it's not that tasty at all. And I think that's how humans are. I think you got the right chef and you season it the right way, everything will taste good. I ain't gonna eat it though. I don't, I had to be in a desperate position and stuff, like I was gonna die. I wouldn't eat a human, not knowingly.
Yeah, I guess it's weird. Well, Terrance, man, hey, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. We appreciate your insights. This was fun.
Yeah.
I had fun.
Yeah,
Good first episode.
Cool,
Hey, man, maybe I'll catch you around the island, all right?
All right, man.
Hey, have a good one, bro.
All right, you too.
Bye. Thanks.